Hello and welcome back to Umami Plate. We're going to go ahead and start making my basic fried rice. I hope you enjoy it. Start out with getting some of these onions started up. These will start browning fairly quickly. I have it on a kind of a medium high right now. I like to add onions. You don't have to. Some of these plates that I make, they're very flexible. You can put onions in or not. You can put mushrooms in if you want. Of course, you don't have to use any kind of proteins or meats. You could throw some tofu in there if you want. It's just up to you. I like to do this as a starter plate. Today's fried rice is going to be a little bit different than what I normally make. A request from the missus to put something called chiri menjako. It's a type of Japanese small fish. It's like a little silver fish. You'll see it as soon as I get ready to put it in. And it's got its own unique kind of flavor profile. It is fishy, so a lot of people will definitely not use it in their dishes. This is just, straight out of the freezer. You can microwave them for about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes with these veggies, and they'll soften up a little bit if you'd rather have them a little soft. I cook them for a little bit, so they do end up getting soft on me anyway. Of course, and I again have my daughter, one of my daughters is an assistant. So we'll go ahead and bring the heat up higher here. And I start out with a tiny bit of oil. I'll add a little bit later on. I just don't like it to stick too much to the bottom with fried rice, just because it gets challenging after a while. The other thing that I'm going to do today is use already cooked, just out of the rice cooker rice. I used a little bit less water, but it's not going to be crunchy or hard in it by any means. So this is more of what's called a chowhan, like a soft rice, fried rice type dish. I like it. I think you'll like it too, because it can be made pretty much any time. You can make it ahead of time. Later on, if you have it one day and you want to put something else in it, heat it up and throw in some chili oil or even some Korean kimchi, and you can make kimchi fried rice. I mean, it's amazing. You could even do it now. I don't have any with me, but you could do it almost any time. So we got this going. Sorry for the smoke, folks. And our stovetop here kind of leans back a little bit, so I'm going to make a small area in the back for our eggs. This is the one protein I put in. Makes it real easy. And we just keep it, I just like to let them settle for a little bit. Then I break the yolks, get them going. And then, sorry if you can't see it, if it goes out of frame, I just want to take it off the burner for a little bit, so it doesn't burn at the bottom. And some people might be inclined to add a little oil. You don't have to. Once everything starts mixing together, it'll come up off the bottom anyway. You can also, if you'd like to, I sometimes do that as well, is scramble the eggs early or ahead of time, and then just throw them in towards the finished product. That'll keep things going. Now I'm bringing it down to a medium heat so it doesn't get too hot. Sorry again for all of that smoke. That steam gets in there after a while. And then I'm going to put my chiri menjaku in. That way I can get it like that. Ooh, here comes that smell. The fishy. Not bad though, if you're used to it. I also like to add a little bit of ginger. That kind of balances out all of these flavors a little bit. It's a ground ginger. I get this at the Asian market. SMB. It's Namashoga. That's Japanese on there. But just look for the yellow stuff, and it's usually the ginger in there. You can also find it in some of the local markets as well. So if you want to get that mixed in there, ooh, that smells good. Now this, this dish comes together at the end with all the flavors and everything, so that if you're not liking it at the beginning, don't worry, it'll come through later. I add a little bit of soy sauce to flavor it up. And now I'm really going to bring the heat down, because what we're dealing with is already cooked rice. We don't need to cook it anymore, we don't want to burn it, and we don't want it to clump up too much. And then as I mix it in, it'll integrate a little bit better if it's not too hot and it's not sticking to the bottom. And one of the things I like to do is I do like to make my videos and cook my food real time if possible, so that you can see how long we're talking about here when it comes to what we're cooking and everything like that. Remember, this is right out of the rice cooker rice, and it's going to be soft, which also helps it to mix and stir better. Now the chirimenjako, the silver fish in there, you can see they're kind of disappearing. And the rice, it'll just mix right in there. I am going to throw a little bit of butter in there. That also helps to loosen things up. It also adds that flavor. I mean, you can never go wrong with butter. That's what I like. For me, that's its own kind of umami. Butter, that is. And we'll go ahead and now my kitchen is probably messier than most people's kitchens. I do try to keep things civil, though. My assistant will put everything away. One thing I don't do, if I spill something on the stove, I usually don't just throw it in the pot. That's not umami. Okay, now that we've got this going, we're almost done. There are two little ingredients that I add before I put in the soy sauce. Two flavors, I should say. A little bit of sugar. This is optional. Okay, guys? Totally optional. And this is, I use a separate mixer or dispenser for this, but this comes in a really big container. It's the chicken powder. I don't put a lot in, but it just adds an amazing flavor to it. You don't need a lot after that, because it has its own salt in there. It has its own, obviously, flavor profile of the chicken. You can even add in some chicken stock instead if you'd rather. But then you're getting more into the, paella territory and stuff like that. So I just kind of give it a little bit of kick with that chicken stock, or chicken powder rather. So, and I think it's fun cooking like this. You're sitting there and it's, there's no room for error, and yet we err. And that's the best part about it. There's nothing that is so bad that you're going to get doomed by messing it up this way. You're cooking it slow, the heat is on low. Now for the kind of a little bit of garnish, we'll put a little of the cut up green onions in there. And there we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks nice. Mix that up. And then I added some earlier. We're going to finish it up with a little bit more soy sauce. Add it a little bit at a time, because soy sauce can get overpowering. I'm using low sodium, but if you use the regular soy sauce, be careful. A little at a time. Take a spoon and taste. Run it along the outside there, and then go into the middle. That's what I do. Each person has their own way of doing things, but I like it because then as I'm mixing to the middle, all that soy sauce and all of those flavors come back in. Oh, there it is. And you know, again, at the beginning with those fish going in, it smelled real strong and fishy. But just like the Thai fish sauce, you know, the Southeast Asian fish sauce, once you integrate it into your dish, the flavors blend and almost disappear, and it's just incredible. It's incredible. You know, you just can't imagine how wonderful it is. Well, you can. Just make the dish. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. The little one doesn't particularly care too much for it, so I'm not going to put a lot in. And then, voila, we are done. This is my fried rice, chow han. A nice tasty little throw together. You see how fast it was. I heated up the pan and I got all the ingredients ready. If you get them all ready, your dish is going to come together very quickly. And you won't burn anything or anything like that. Heat goes off and out comes the most important thing, the taste. Sorry, I'm going to do this off camera, okay? Light. It does need a little bit more salt and a dash more soy sauce. So put a little bit of that in there. Put a little bit more of our soy sauce in. And mix it in there. No, when it comes to big plates like this, you know, I don't like lifting it up and, you know, mixing it like that. I mean, I can do it. I enjoy kind of doing this because at least I get to not pick up the floor later on. So, because I do spill. I'm not infallible at all. Okay, let's go ahead and taste a little more. Here we go. Oh, ooh, mommy. That's it. So here is it. Look for the attached video, and you'll see the final plate. I'll plate one up so you can see what it's like finished. Thank you very much. Hope to hear from you, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.